Hello. So I'm really happy I went and saw this movie for no other reason than I was going to try to do a whole thing this weekend, um, aside from grading papers and working on not school that I'm teaching assignments, but school I have to go to assignments. But I was gonna try to take a break from that and do like uh, several nights at the movies. But every other movie I wanted to see is out of the theaters already, so that's not a good sign for any of those. But I've wanted to see this one since the commercials came out. I've seen the trailers a lot because I go, I've said it before. I come to Ridgeway a lot, so I tend to see the same trailers over and over. And I've seen this one a couple times. I was like, and for the first time I saw it, I was like, that looks good, and I need to go see that. And it did not disappoint. This is a really good film. Familiar in that it's a lot of ground that's been covered in other films. Like it's Good Will Hunting Jr. kind of, but there's only so many stories out there, and it covers it in a fun way. And I think, man, it was really well written, really well directed, and above all, and I feel like I really got to stress this, very well acted, particularly from Chris Evans and the little girl whose name I don't know. I'm gonna call her the other Fanning, even though she's not a Fanning as far as I'm aware, but she looks almost exactly like them and is a very good young actor, like they were. So, I'm just going to call her the other Fanning for now. So for those who don't know what this film's about, and again, it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't. So Chris Evans' character is the guardian of his late sister's daughter, who's, I think, 7 in this. And his late sister was like this mathematician who ended up committing suicide, and he took the daughter. And he's known kind of all her life, all the daughter's life, the other Fanning's life, that the little girl is gifted, that she's a math prodigy. And this comes out, and everybody wants him to, send her to, a gifted school, and he's saying, no, I think what's more important is that she has a normal life, and then Chris Evans' mother comes into it, and she sues for custody, and it's this whole thing. So it's one of those films, again, I say again, kind of like Good Will Hunting, that asks that question, how's the best way, not so much to deal with, but how's the best way to approach and socialize and all this someone who is mentally so far beyond everyone their age and probably so far beyond everyone they're going to meet, and just how difficult that is and how there's no really right answer and all that. So yeah, anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is just the really excellent acting jobs by everyone involved. And I got to give special props to Chris Evans and the third Fanning there. The little girl in this, kid actors are always such a mixed bag. Of course, grown actors are like that too. I don't know why kid actors always get kind of the backhand. I think it's because the kid actors are always given the more unbelievable lines and the more uber cutesy and precocious things to do, so therefore their bad acting can't be hidden because the writing is also so awful. So kids who aren't that great at acting really stand out, and really get the shit kicked out of them so bad. I really feel sorry for Jake Lloyd and kind of the things he's gone through, because he spent all of his life having everybody on the internet tell him he sucks. Anyway, sidebar. This little girl does a really phenomenal job, and there's a lot of she sells the cute, precocious, and that wonderful thing that always gets a laugh of that little kid saying grown-up things, with a straight face, and that kind of little kid, out of the mouths of babe thing. So she does that really well, but most any kid's gonna do that. But what she really sells are the more dramatic moments and the really the more heart-wrenching parts, where she's crying or really upset or something. I mean, she really sells that, and I think this little girl just does an amazing job, and I really got to give her props. And I got to give big props to Chris Evans. Now, Chris Evans is a movie star. We all love Chris Evans because Chris Evans is freaking Captain America, and we all know he's awesome as Captain America. But kind of, I said this a little bit when I was doing my review of Me Before You, that rhymes, about Emilia Clarke and like the cast of Game of Thrones and what are they going to do when the show ends and all that. And I think the core members of the Marvel Cinematic Universe are kind of facing that now. A lot of them are coming to their end of their contracts. They've made big names for themselves. They've made big money. And the question kind of is going to become, what's going to happen to some of these guys and gals after these movies are done? Like I say, Chris Hemsworth has tried to be an action star several times, and it hasn't really panned out for him. But I gotta say, Chris Evans really does an excellent acting job here. There's nothing really difficult. He's playing an all-American guy who's kind of sarcastic. So it's kind of like take early Captain America, mix it with a little Tony Stark, and that's the character. So it's not anything too challenging. But he does just well enough that I'm watching this film going, this guy's got a big future ahead of him. Captain America has helped laid the groundwork, and once these films are done and he can kind of get out from under the shadow of it, he's going to have a really good career as a leading man. I really believe that. I think he's got the acting chops. He's got just enough. I don't know if it's the writing that maybe held him back a little bit in this, but I think he did a really phenomenal job. And the scenes with him and the little girl are phenomenal. They really work well off each other, and that's hard to do. It is hard to have chemistry with a kid, and it's hard for a kid to have chemistry with an adult. It's hard enough to have chemistry with another actor to begin with in some cases, but it makes it even harder when there's that huge age difference. But the two of them worked off each other like old pros. I mean, you would swear that really was his niece or his daughter or something. Octavia Spencer is in this, and of course she's good. But here's the thing again, and I'm nothing against her because she does a really good job. But again, it's another one of those things, kind of like Ryan Reynolds and Forrest Whitaker in some of these past reviews. It's like, why did they pay Octavia Spencer money for her when, I'm sorry, any older black actress could have done that role? It was nothing, I don't want to say nothing really special, but it was nothing really special. It's like, I can only assume she either A, really wanted to do it, or B, they brought her on when they were trying to pitch the movie to the studio to get that kind of the credibility for it. Because like I said, Chris Evans is a movie star, but he hasn't really gotten the credit as an actor yet. So you're trying to sell this very dramatic, a little artsy kind of picture. So you have someone you could say Academy Award winner. There you go. So I think maybe that was it. But she does a fine job. She's always good in everything she's in, even if I don't like the movie. But she's always really good in it, and she does a good job here. I just think she's a little waste. I think that I was expecting them to do more with her. So like I say, the story is fairly known. We know the story. We've seen movies like these before. But I don't know. I think what mainly makes it work is the really good writing and the chemistry between Chris Evans and the little girl. I think that is what really elevates it up to what I would say is one of the best pictures I've seen this year. Perfect? No. Some things in it I think could have been done a little differently. The only part of this movie I legitimately did not like is because it's a movie that means there has to be a romantic subplot. And there's this weird on again, off again. Sometimes it's important, and sometimes it disappears for huge chunks of the film. Romance between Chris Evans and the little girl's teacher. You know, very unnecessary. You could have filled that role. You could have filled that. Everything she does in the movie, aside from have sex with Chris Evans, could be done by a female friend, a buddy of his. You could have had the Octavia Spencer character do all the things that she did. You could have had a buddy, a drinking buddy or a friend. It did not have to be a romantic relationship, and yet you could just feel how tacked on it was. Now, the good part of that is that, like I said, it disappears for huge chunks of the film. She only reappears when the plot needs her to, do something. So it's not enough to drag the movie down, but it is incredibly noticeable. It's just like, this is not needed. It has a few payoffs. Like I say, she helps the plot a few times, and it has one really cute moment that you wouldn't have had if it had been anybody else but her. But still, so that's the only thing I legitimately did not like. The other thing that, it's not so much that I didn't like, but I feel like it could have been done better. The mother character, the grandmother who comes and sues him for custody. I would have liked it, and they tried with this. I would have liked it if she was a little less Cruella de Vil. Now, they do some really good scenes with her and the little girl, and they do a really good scene with her and Chris Evans, where you get the instance that this is not, the wicked stepmother. This is not, someone, like I said, Cruella de Vil, someone who's, I'll come and take the little girl and she'll do long math for the rest of her life. But towards the end, she veers into that territory. And you're kind of like, really? You didn't need to do that. I think the movie was better when the characters were... Movies like this always work better when the characters always believe what they're doing is right. And yes, our personal history and our personal wants and beliefs and all that play into things, and they become motivators. But I think they lost sight with this character. Again, I'll compare it to Good Will Hunting, which isn't fair because Good Will Hunting is one of my all-time favorite movies, but it's the only thing I have. The Seven Skarsgård character in Good Will Hunting, the math teacher who finds him, he's ambitious, but you can tell, and he even has a great line in the movie where he says, "I'm not sitting at home all night twisting my mustache and trying to come up with ways of ruining this boy's life." He really believes that what he's doing is right and in the best interest of the kid, even if he's not going about it the right way. And I think we could have seen a little bit more of that from her. And they do very good with it in the beginning and the middle. But then at the end, it takes this weird twist, almost like an 80s movie. If you're watching 80s comedies, like 80s comedies go along, and then when they hit that last 20 minutes, suddenly there's like a big action set piece that feels very out of place with the rest of the movie. And this kind of does that. It goes along, and then there's this weird heel turn at the end, and you're just kind of like, that was out of nowhere. But for the most part, what I love about this movie, and I think is really well done, is it really does strike the balance between the two arguments of what's best for this little girl. And there were times that I'm sitting there watching the movie, and of course, sure, it's done so that you want her to be with Chris Evans, of course. Of course, that's what they want the audience to want. But the movie is done so well that there are times that you're listening to it and you're like, they're not wrong about what they're saying. And the thing about needing to foster a genius and needing to, but his point of, what's the point of raising a genius if they're cut off from everybody, if they're not happy, and trying to find that balance. I would have liked it if the two characters could have found the balance. The mother and him could have had a little compromise and said, okay, let's do this. Let's compromise, and let's both try to get what we want so that the kid can have the best of both worlds. I would have liked that a little bit instead of kind of the pad ending we got. But anyway, I'm ragging on this ending a lot. And I don't mean to, because it's a minor thing. It doesn't ruin the film, and the film itself is really, really good. But yeah, they do an excellent job. I was reminded very much about something I heard at TBA. One of the first summers I worked there, and Shane Mitchell, who is the artistic director of it, talks to all of us before the summer begins, and he talks to the kids too, and he says, one year he said that it's not our job to make you the best actor in the world. We're here to make you better people. And it's not a question of, are you going to go to Broadway with this? Because you could go to Broadway, you could be the wealthiest actor ever, you could have awards, but if you're a shit human being, then what does it matter? And that was the argument that Chris Evans was trying to get through, and you could understand the people who wanted him to get her into a gifted school. You could understand them totally, but you could also understand his very heels dug in reluctance, saying no, she needs to be socialized. She needs to have a childhood and not just, go straight to a think tank. And the movie does. I like movies that strike a balance, and I like movies that at some point make me side with the antagonist and make me go, they're not wrong. They may have a point here, and you might want to listen to them. So yeah, I think this movie very quickly is on the short list. If the year ended right now, if this was December, and this was the last movie I saw before the new year, this would probably be my number one movie of the year right now. And that's just me kind of coming out of it. I haven't really thought about it or weighed against some of the other films. But I'm sitting here, and as the credits were rolling, and my friend Elizabeth and I were, sitting there watching and talking about it, I was kind of running through some of the movies I've seen this year in my mind. And I've seen some fun movies. I've seen some good movies. I've seen some okay movies. But I think this one is, right now, this is like the best movie of the year that I have seen. I think it really knocked it out of the park. Few issues. Like I said, no movie is without sin. But it was really touching. It wasn't sappy. I think, again, I need to say this. I think I kind of said this, but didn't get really into it. The little girl in there, she felt like a little girl. The lines she was saying were done in such a way, written in such a way, and performed in such a way that, yes, they sounded too intelligent for a child, but since she's supposed to be hyper intelligent, they sounded natural. She never felt like she was pulling a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen and just parroting back cutesy-wootsy catchphrases. You felt like this was a genuine character, and I think that is really hats off to the writer and the director. I haven't really I don't know the director from much. I can't remember his name, honestly. But I gotta tip my hat to him for doing such a good job on this. Very well directed, some beautiful scenery, some beautiful shots, but never in that, head up his ass, Manchester by the Sea, overly artsy way that is trying to trick you into thinking he's deep. This is a director who wants to keep the focus on the story and the characters and not try to bring attention to how tortured his mind must be, and how, this long panning shot of scenery, what it must mean to everything. I also say that I know from a lot of experience, directing kids is not easy. You got to have a certain mentality for it to get a performance like that out of a kid. And I think he, hats off to him for doing such a good job. I give the writer and the actor a lot of credit, but I think you got to give the director mad props on this one for doing that. It's a tight rope to walk, and he did it very well. So this one is playing in a couple spots. I love Ridgeway, so I say go to Ridgeway. It's playing at the Paradiso. I don't know if you're watching this in Alaska or you're watching this, if you're, I don't know if anybody outside of anybody who knows me watches these. So, I mean, if you are, hi, I'm Brandon. Nice to meet you. But I don't know where it might be playing otherwise. But if you want to see a really good picture, and that's kind of how the language I kind of use to describe, old-fashioned feeling movies that really deal with character and story, picture. You want to see a really good picture, go see this one. Go treat your mind and your sensibilities. Get away from car crashes and explosions and CGI monsters, all which are good. No, not dissing them, but just saying we get a lot of that. And in the summer's coming up, we're going to get a lot more. And God, it was nice to go see a movie with real people, having real emotions, and dealing with real things in a satisfying way. It's refreshing. It really does feel like this movie's like a breath of really fresh air. It's funny that it has some scenes with them out on a boat going across the ocean there, and it's like that's what this movie feels like. It feels like a wonderful breath of sea air and the water and all. It just you feel it, and that's I left feeling really good from this film. So do yourself a favor and check this one out. I don't think you'll be too disappointed. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.